she whispered. "I beg you. It hurts so bad," and the rancher froze, his hand trembling over his gun. What happened next would break hearts across the frontier. Folks, before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe to Soul Tales for more unforgettable Wild West tales of love, loss, and redemption. The sun sank low over the barren plains, spilling blood-red light across the earth. Rancher Jed Cole rode slow, his hat tilted low, a cigarette burning between his fingers. He wasn't a man who stopped for much anymore, not since the war took his brothers, his wife, and half his heart. But that evening, something caught his eye along the ridge. A figure slumped against a rock. He pulled his horse to a halt and squinted. It was a woman barely breathing, her dress torn, her skin streaked with blood and dirt. Her hand trembled when she reached for him. "Please," she gasped, her voice thin as dust. "Don't leave me." Jed dismounted fast, kneeling beside her. She was young, maybe 20, maybe less, with eyes so full of pain it made his chest ache. A bullet wound marked her shoulder, dried blood painting her arm. He pressed a cloth to it, cursing under his breath. "Who did this to you?" he asked. She didn't answer, just whispered something so faint he had to lean close. "It hurts so bad, that was enough." Without another word, Jed scooped her into his arms, set her on his horse, and rode hard toward the only place left, standing, his lonely ranch on the edge of the wasteland. He laid her down in his cabin beside the old fireplace that hadn't seen warmth in weeks. Her face glistened with sweat. Her breathing came in shallow bursts. Jed boiled water, tore up a sheet for bandages, and worked through the night like a man possessed. He'd done this before, patched up wounded men in the war, friends who didn't always make it. But this was different. There was something fragile about her, something that pulled at him. She stirred once, eyes fluttering open. "You're safe," he murmured. "You're going to make it." Her lips curved in a ghost of a smile. "Safe?" she whispered. "I don't remember what that feels like." She told him her name was Anna. Her family's wagon had been attacked near Red Hollow. Her father shot, her sister taken. She'd escaped somehow, but the desert hadn't shown her mercy. Jed sat beside her through the night, feeding her water in sips, whispering words he didn't even believe anymore. When dawn came, her fever broke slightly, and she slept. He sat watching her, wondering why he felt a strange kind of peace, like maybe saving her was saving himself, too. Days passed. The wound festered despite all his care. Anna tried to hide it to smile when she could, but Jed could see the truth in her eyes. The infection had spread too deep. By the 5th night she could barely speak, her voice rasping like dry leaves in the wind. "Jed," she whispered. He rushed to her side. "I'm here." She reached for his hand, her fingers trembling. I can't take the pain anymore. Please make it stop." His stomach twisted. "Don't talk like that." But her eyes were calm, too calm. "You know what's coming?" she said softly. "I've seen it before. I don't want to die screaming." Jed froze, staring at her, at the tears cutting through the dirt on her cheeks. She gripped his hand tighter. "Please, it hurts so bad. Just make it quick." His hand drifted to the gun on the table. He'd ended the suffering of wounded men before, men begging for mercy in the mud. But never like this. Never someone so full of life, so undeserving of death. His lips trembled. "It'll be quick," he whispered finally, voice cracking under the weight of it. She nodded, smiling faintly, tears glinting in her lashes. "Thank you," she breathed. And for the longest moment, time stood still. Him, her, and the dying light flickering between them. But he couldn't do it. The gun never left the table. Instead, Jed sat beside her, took her hand in both of his, and stayed. "If you're going," he murmured. "You ain't going." "Alone." She looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, there was no fear in her eyes, just peace. She exhaled softly, and her hand went still. The cabin fell silent, but for the crackle of dying embers. Jed didn't move for hours. When he finally did, it was to carry her outside beneath the stars and bury her beneath the lone oak tree that overlooked the valley. He marked her grave with a small wooden cross, and laid her mother's pendant, the one he found in her satchel, beside it. Days turned into weeks, and folks said the rancher had changed. He rebuilt the chapel in town, took in strays and orphans, gave food to the hungry. They said he'd gone soft, but those who looked close enough saw it. The fire in his eyes, the kind only born from heartbreak and grace. Years later, a drifter would ride past that same oak tree and see the words carved into the cross. "Mercy is the hardest thing a man can do." And somewhere beyond the horizon, the wind still carried her whisper, "Thank you." So, if this story touched your soul, hit that like button and subscribe to Reality Soul Tales. Stories for more tales where pain meets mercy and love leaves a mark that never fades.